what you said earlier about the relationship with yourself and your own mind, I think that's critical. So for example, like I could get super technical and give like very detailed feedback to a student, say your body language was off, you need to move your arm in this position, you need to raise your smile like this, you need to do that. I can get very technical, but that's not really the way to fix it. The way to fix it is imparting the right sort of mental models into the guy's head, right? So before the approach, to kind of assume, right? Assume that it's going to go well. Assume that the girl is going to love you, right? And the more you can kind of revel in that and really believe it, the better the reactions you're going to get. Because, yeah, you could probably control 90% of your body language, but there's most guys have heard of this micro expressions. There's probably about 10% of your body language you can't have conscious control over. You know, it's like there's leakage that happens, and girls are way more intuitive than us. They can really smell like bad vibe, low self-esteem, all of that, right? And so instead of thinking about all these super technical things, if you're able to get your mind into the right space, just assume that it's going to go well, the girl's going to love you. Guess what happens? Your body language then becomes 100% aligned, you know? Like there's no negative leakage. It all looks cool because you're thinking positively, you're thinking in the right way, you're thinking the right thoughts. So then you don't have to consciously calibrate everything, you know? You can just go in and enjoy yourself. So like, yeah, mindset is a big part of the way I coach. Having said that, I still obviously give a lot of you know, detailed tips, methods on how to kind of like open, how to have an engaging conversation. So really, to get good at any skill set, pick up the game is a multidisciplinary skill set. The way to get good at anything is essentially having both the inner game covered and the outer game. So the inner game, how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see women, you know, everything that's happening internally, and then the outer game, obviously explaining certain things to guys, like this is how you approach, make sure to give enough space, you don't want to scare the girl, this is a good way to open, that sort of thing. So once you've got both covered, the inner game and outer game, then you're set, then you're ready. So that's kind of like, that was my issue with early pickup. It was just all outer game, no inner game. So right now I think, yeah, we're in a better place for sure. Guys are able to get really good, you know, like advice from you know, online sources, as well as like really good coaches out there, you know. When I got into it in 2005, there were no coaches, so I kind of had to, you know, learn on my own. And in the process, I did, you know, waste a lot of time. I could have gotten results a lot faster had I had someone, you know, show me the right ways. So after a certain time, whatever it is, whether it's a day game or learning an instrument, after a certain amount of time of doing it on your own, if you're not getting professional coaching or feedback, you're going to be wasting time and money. At the moment, I'm trying to learn a trumpet, and I was learning on my own, but then I just plateaued relatively quickly. I couldn't really move to the next level, and then I just I hired a trumpet teacher. £30, comes every Friday. Bang! Within 1 hour, he was able to straight away kind of assess and see my blind spots and explain, you just need to add this little tweak, 2 or 3 tweaks, and all of a sudden, bang, like I've improved, you know, massively. So for guys out there, some dudes speak to me about investments and stuff, like investing in the stock market and whatnot. Listen, if you're a young dude, don't invest any of your money into that. That's actually too long-term a strategy. In most cases, you're far better off taking that money, investing it in yourself, in acquiring new skill sets, or starting a business. You're gonna like make 1,000 times more than you will, putting 500 is in the S&P 500, whatever it's called. So
that's actually a good point. Yeah, like, to actually fast track your progress with this stuff, coaching is probably the best thing you can do, because if you're out there by yourself trying to learn this stuff, it is extremely overwhelming. And unless you've got some form of mentorship, it's just incredibly difficult to just go out there. The thing is, the actual act of doing it is actually quite simple, but to actually just take it all on yourself and have that burden all on you without actually any other person to actually guide you through that whole process, it's really overwhelming for a lot of guys. And a lot of guys can be really hard on themselves. They can be like, oh fuck, I find it so hard to approach a girl even though I know I should do it, or whatever else their sticking points might be. Fact is, like, most guys have fairly similar sticking points, whether it's the anxiety aspect, or talking too quickly, talking too quietly, body language stuff. A lot of the times we see the same things, a lot of the time in different guys, but it's the same stuff. But everyone's got their own little things that need to be improved upon, or their own little individual sticking points, and that's stuff that you don't really find out when you are by yourself. And that's where the value really is, when you can find someone who can really kind of point that stuff out, right, get you to a much better place.
Of course, yeah. Because there's one guy that I coached a while back. I just did one session with him. It was a 2-hour session, and session went well, right? And then I then saw him a year later. So I did the first session, and then a year later he gets in touch with me again for a follow-up session, right? And then I mic him up and I'm listening to his interactions, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, like, why have you waited a whole year to do the second session with me? Because over that year he developed a lot of bad habits, and there was a lot of, like, the term I used, he had developed a lot of fossilized errors, basically. And so I gave him loads of feedback, and I just said to him, bro, like, why didn't he come back to me a month later? Because you would have saved yourselves like tons of wasted time ultimately, and money, like going on dates to nowhere, or maybe not getting enough dates, So like I said, if you're not getting coaching, regardless what it is, you're wasting your own time ultimately. You think you're saving money, but you're not. You're actually losing out. So I'm a massive believer in coaching. So in some ways, I want to make more money so I can get more coaching in other areas, that I'm trying to improve in, in business and in music.
Yeah. I want to just talk a bit about, at the beginning, when we started, you mentioned a bit about, like, when you first started out, there wasn't that much competition. I'm kind of curious, actually, like, from your perspective, because obviously you've been doing this for a lot longer. How do you think it's kind of changed? I know you mentioned about, like, people are taking a bit more of a holistic approach to this stuff now. But from your kind of perspective, like, how do you think the dating market has changed, so let's say in the past, like 10, 15 years, or how, that you've been doing it? Like, what would you say is, like, one of the biggest kind of differences now compared to back then? Because, so many guys say that it's getting harder now, dating is getting harder now, and day game is more difficult. And people are sort of like, especially some of the older guys, they're kind of reminiscing on the fact that, back in the day, it was so much easier and it was just so much better back in the day. And even I kind of feel that that's the case sometimes, kind of the case. I've had some really good experiences recently, mostly abroad, but, like, let's say London. it feels like, you know, when I first started out, there was, I don't know, it just felt better for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I think really what's changed is this. I think ultimately it's, I might be wrong, but what I think has changed things has been social media, because in 2005 there wasn't really much social media. Facebook just started, you know, so Facebook only really started to take off in 2007, you know. So social media was quite limited. Online dating was frowned upon. Only weirdos and freaks would use online dating, you know. There was a social stigma attached to online dating. How quickly that's fucking changed, right? So the fact that you've got social media like Instagram, right, Tinder, I think that's really changed things massively. It's disrupted things. So when I got into it, you know, a girl will go out and then I don't know, she's in a club and like maybe there's 10 guys in there she thinks are dateable or, you know, fuckable, right? But then she's got to choose out those 10 guys. You know, it's either get with one of these 10 dudes or just go home, right? And that's it. Whereas now, yeah, okay, she can choose one of the 10 guys in the club, but then there's also this guy hitting up on Hinge, Instagram, you know. So there's that obviously has had an impact. I mean, how could it not, right? Because you're no longer just competing with the guys in the same room as you. You're competing with everyone else, you know. So I think that's why guys will say, oh, it was easier back in my day. There is truth to that. Now what I would say is you just got to play the game. You got to accept that, you know, that's the reality, and keep up in your game up, you know, keep working yourself, keep you know, working on your skill set, get better. That's it. I mean, despite all of that, you know, like having said all of that, like, yeah, girls are on Tinder and whatnot. Most guys are still like lacking. Most guys aren't that great anyway, you know. So the competition isn't super stiff, I don't think, you know. Most guys don't really have their act together. Most guys don't have, you know, a great game. They're not really killing it in life, you know. So what I would say is, yeah, it's a little bit harder, but so what? It is what it is, you know. Like we like during COVID, during lockdowns, me and my friends were still going out and approaching, you know, even though there was hardly any girls out, you know, in central London. Central London was even quieter than, you know, the suburbs. But we were still able to meet women, you know. We created street parties. I bought a massive like portable speaker. I would go to Trafalgar Square, Leicester Square, Piccadilly Circus, and or St. James's Park, and just start blaring music out, start a fucking street party, you know. And then people start vibing, and I got to meet a lot of cool people like that, including, you know, some cute girls. Like essentially you need to have a masculine mindset, accept you know, what's given to you or what isn't given to you, and just like find a solution. Like a lot of these things, you could just kind of treat it like a technical problem, you know, like treat it like a technical problem, and you can use logic to solve most of this actually, you know. You got shit fashion, well, you can figure that out, you know. It doesn't take that long to, you know, fix your fashion. Your grooming, tons of advice out there, you know. Work on your social skills, plenty of advice on that as well, you know. So like all I'm trying to say is, like, there's no, as a guy, you know, there's no reason to ever feel like a victim or disempowered. It's within your control to like essentially really make your life wonderful. So right now I'm living my best life. I'm 37. I've got an amazing social circle. I have tons of friends. I go out. I've got a girl that's awesome, that keeps me very satisfied. Like every day is super exciting to me, and I feel like next year it's only going to get better. But there was a time where, I was kind of feeling sorry for myself and, getting all depressed and shit, but that did me no good. And instead, I surrounded myself with people, that were positive, that were encouraging. So I think as a guy, you're much better off being alone, than in bad company,
Yeah.
There's so many ways to meet genuinely good men out there that will support you, that will be encouraging, and maybe just having one or two like good friends like that, can change your life for the better,
100%, yeah.
And so it's some of the guys that I've met through coachings, I've stayed in touch with them and we become friends. That's one of the best things about the job, actually. Having coached so many guys, I've met some truly like super cool guys, that are doing great things.
Cheers for watching. If you'd be interested in one-to-one coaching with me, where we'll go out in public and work on your approaching girls, or more generally with your social confidence, please visit my website ed-game.com.